Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Power Rangers Season 2, Episode 45 of my show, but this is about Episode 43 of Season 2. Now, before I start talking about it, I just want to mention, since we're on Episode 43, that technically means we've got about, let's see, because there's 52 episodes, so 43, 44, about 9 videos left because 10 it was at when it was at 42. So we got about 9 videos left for this season. I say that because I'm going by the tens for the numericals, and there's 52 episodes in season 2, so about 9 videos left since we're on episode 43. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now, getting back into the episode, if you guys remember back when I ended the previous video, I talked about, anyway, this is History of Power Rangers Season 2, Episode 45 of my show, but about Episode 43. And Episode 43 is Part 3 in the Wedding 3-part episode. Now, getting back to what I was saying earlier, if you guys remember where I ended the last video, Alpha, who is still under the evil reprogramming done by Finster and Zed's putties, had cut the Rangers' power supply to their megazord off. And then they were teleported back to the theater, and then basically Rita had two of her previous monsters, Rhino Blaster and Pexter, as well as a group of putties keep an eye on the Rangers while she has the others attend the wedding. And basically what happens is after that, and that was basically where the previous part I talked about ended, because basically what happened after that was the Rangers were thinking of a way to get out, and basically what happens is at the start of this episode, Zed is looking down from his palace. Now, this is partially, I think it's his own emotions as well as the effect of the potion itself, because of the reason why I say that is because of a little itsy bitsy thing that's gonna happen in season 3. Now, I'm not gonna spoil anything for that season because I want to save that for when I get to it. But basically, when he finds out about the Rangers being trapped, he's like, in his palace, up in the palace, he's like, "Indeed, a fine tribute for my wedding day. Soon I will see the destruction of those Power Rangers." Now, I think this is partially because he's tried to destroy the Rangers so much on his own, and now that he's getting married with Rita, he's doing it as two people, and that's actually going to play a small part in their next plan, which is going to be covered in the next 3-part video that I'm going to be talking about after this part. However, I might not record that part between the same day I record this one and upload it. Anyway, but I will be. I was just getting off topic there. anyway, getting back into it, Zed is saying that soon he will see the destruction of the Power Rangers who have basically interfered with his plans up to this point. And basically, what happens after that is, what happens after that is basically it goes to where the Rangers are, and Aisha is kind of acting as the bait in this part of the episode because she's I think it's as bait because as you remember what Rita's part of her plan was she had the rest of her monsters attend her wedding while two of them, as well as I said before, a group of putties guard the Rangers. And the two that she had stand guard were Pexter and Rhino Blaster. So that's what Aisha was calling out to Pexter. Like, she was, I think it was as a trap to use her as bait. Like, she was saying that she realized that she's no match for him and she's giving up. And that's when Pexter shows up. And then basically, what happens is after that, when Pexter shows up, he said he's excited about the Yellow Ranger giving up, and then he does some boasting of his own where he says that sooner or later the Pexter would have gotten her and the friends, and then the Rangers managed to, as I said before, Aisha was being the decoy in this episode to help the Rangers sort of escape. So they tricked Pexter into thinking that she was giving herself up when she was also trying to get away with her friends at the same time. And basically what happens is after that, the Rangers are still trying to escape the theater, but they still can't get out. And then it goes into a scene where Alpha is, and then he's saying, and he's still under the effects of the evil reprogramming that Finster and the Z-Putties put him under in the first part of this video I talked about. And then he's saying in his evil tone, he's like, oh, sure is great. You know that I've gotten rid of that old windbag Zordon. Because basically what happened was in the previous video, after cutting off his communicator and Alpha getting annoyed by him so much, he sort of de-energized him. Which means technically he didn't kill him, he basically made it so that he had no physical form, de-energized, because basically, if you guys remember what I stated, he was basically an interdimensional being trapped in a time warp, and the tube that he was in was the thing that projected his energy, so that was the reason for that. Anyway, continuing on, getting back into it with Rita and Zedd, they're having their wedding on the moon, and basically what happens is after that, Zedd is telling Goldar, it is time, Goldar, summon the guests. Well, first what happens is, while the wedding preparations are happening, Goldar is getting a little upset that this is happening because Rita will sort of partially be back in control if this succeeds. So he's like, Zedd and Rita, I can't believe this is happening to me. At least there's some decent grindage. Which basically is, he means the food, because there's food there. And then, as I said before, Zedd tells Goldar, it is time, Goldar! Summon the guests! Oh, before I continue, if you remember what I said about the Pexter and the Rangers escaping, they actually do manage to get out of the theater, and this is, and that was before that was before the segment with Zedd and the wedding. I just wanted to backtrack there, but that part of it is gonna play a hand in what's gonna happen in the later segment. That's sort of why I backtracked. Anyway, basically, after all the monsters that Finster had recreated showed back up, basically what happened is, showed up as guests for the wedding, and basically, Goldar is telling the monsters to begin the processional and basically pay tribute to Zedd on this most special day. And then basically one of the monsters, if I'm remembering correctly, the monster that gives him one of the wedding gifts is Eye Guy. He's like, "My gift to you, Lord Zedd, for decoration or a midnight snack." I think it's like some kind of spider thing. I'm not really sure. But basically what happens is, after that, after all the monsters are gathered around, and the Sacadillo monster said that weddings always make him cry. I think it's happy crying, sort of, because a lot of people cry in weddings, not because of sadness, but mostly because of happiness, sort of, or because of allergies. I'm just getting technical here I'm just getting a little technical stuff here out of the way. I'm sorry about that. I'm getting off topic. Oh. Anyway, after all the monsters are summoned into the palace, Zedd tells his monsters that all of them are like his evil children to him, and then basically for this day they're like one big happy family, sort of, and then he's telling them to come closer and stuff like that. It's sort of like a family thing, which makes sense because a lot of the monsters that are in there are ones that he and Rita created in the separate seasons up to this point. Rita in season 1 and Zedd in season 2. Well, mostly the monsters that were in season 1, not some of the ones that were in season 2. I don't actually count the monsters that Zedd brought back for season 2 for that, like the Hatchosaurus, because that one technically already showed up. That's why I didn't count it when I mentioned this part, when I did the character bio thing for it, and a little bit of the description for this video as for that as a little thing for mentioning what was gonna happen in this season anyway, because I knew a lot of the monsters from season 1 would be brought back, but under different circumstances, of course. Anyway, getting back on topic, after that, basically what happens is, they're beginning the wedding ceremony, and then basically, Finster is doing the, coronation thing. Well, basically what happens is first, Babu and Squad are trying to get Rita to come up, but then she's having second thoughts about this, I don't know. And she'll have even more second thoughts when one of the parts for the 3-part episode, which is the next 3-part episode I'm going to cover, which is the Return of the Green Ranger, which will be the one after this one, but I won't explain why until I get to those episodes, but I just thought I'd bring it up. Anyway, and then Babu basically tells Rita that it's perfectly natural for the bride to have jitters on a big day, which is essentially true. And then basically, because, there's a little nerves and everything. Anyway, getting back into it, Rita basically shows up, and then she said the queen thing, and then basically, which is basically her way of saying, here comes bride, and then basically, Finster is beginning the procession, and then basically, after he says about the union of those two, he mentions if anyone has any reason why these two should not be wed. And then basically that's when Goldar starts to chime up, like he's like, yes, now that you mention it, and then Rita shuts him up, and then basically what happens is after that, Rita then, I'm guessing, tells Finster to continue, and then Finster asks Zedd if he thinks Rita to be his lawful wife, so long as they both shall live. Zedd, Emperor of Evil, take Rita to be your lawful wife, unlawfully wife for as long as you both shall live. And then basically he says, I do, and then Finster asks Rita the same question, and she's like, yeah, and then she's like, I mean, I do. And then he said that basically by the power vested in me, by the grace of one, said, I hereby declare you husband and wife. And then basically he said that we may kiss the bride thing, and basically what happens is he's asking about the rings, and then Goldar's wondering about the rings because he's the one that's about to have them, and then Rita basically takes them from him, and then basically he gives Zedd his and then keeps hers, and then after their union thing, basically they start dancing and stuff. And then after where they're dancing, there's a little bit of talk between, a little bit of banter between some of the monsters, as well as, before I continue on, I just want to mention, speaking of the monsters, there actually was a little bit of a funny part that happened with the wedding beforehand, where Zedd asked Goldar to summon the musician to play the wedding march music, but then Goldar said that he couldn't get musicians on such short notice, and that's when Zedd got angry. And then basically, he said that he wanted music and he wants it now. So he used his staff to transport one of the monsters that was in the seats and caused the piano to appear and caused, I believe it was the Snizzard he brought to play the piano, and he's like, I trust you can play a wedding march on that thing. And then basically the Snizzard says, no, but if you hum a few bars, I could fake it. And then he says, never mind, and then he starts playing it. I just wanted to bring that up since I sort of skipped it. It was just a minor detail. So anyway, basically, as I was saying, after they put the rings on and then after Finster was his husband and wife, basically, they start dancing and stuff. And then Arkai says that we shouldn't rely Pop and he was looking at you, kid. And then basically what happens is, after that, Zedd wonders, he's like, my dear, what did you get me for our wedding? What wedding gift did you give me? And then basically Rita tells Zedd that basically her gift to him is the Power Rangers trapped. Well, his gift to her in this case is she wants to be there and be able to see the Power Rangers being destroyed. She'd like to be there when the Power Rangers are being destroyed. Like, she wants to watch it, which kind of makes sense because of the fact that she had tried to destroy the Rangers previously up to this point beforehand, so she wanted to see them be destroyed herself as well now that she's joined with Zedd. And basically what happens is Zedd's like, he's like, you shall have it. And basically what his plan is for going to do that is they're going to take a honeymoon on Serpentera and watch as the monsters finish off the Power Rangers once and for all. And then he's telling the monsters that they're gone on their honeymoon, and they'll be back once the Power Rangers are destroyed. Now basically what happens is that actually plays a hand in what's gonna happen in later. And then they're taking a ride on Serpentera to where the Rangers are, and basically, when the Serpentera flies over close to where the moon is, it says the just married thing on there, and basically what happens is they're seeing the Rangers run from the monsters, and then basically, they run, and then Rita says soon they'll see how they fall, and then after they're getting a little happy enjoying their honeymoon on Serpentera, Goldar explains that the Power Rangers managed to escape the theater, and then basically Rita gets sort of a little upset about that, but then Zedd basically explains that he tells Goldar, "We'll handle it, Goldar. Just get everyone out of the palace and down to Earth so we can deal with the Power Rangers before they get to their command center." And then after that, Goldar understands his master's part of his plan, and basically he tells the monsters that he's like, "Monster, this is a declaration of war. Every last monster, villain, and goon head down to the Earth to destroy the Power Rangers." And then basically Rita is saying, "See how they run." Yes, and then Zedd says soon they'll see how they fall. And then basically Zedd's explaining to the monsters over the microphone, basically, "Monsters, can you hear me? They must not be able to reach their command center." And then basically what happens is, after that, the monsters are still chasing the Rangers towards the command center, but then Rita realizes that the Rangers are getting close to it, entering it, and then she starts to get worried, and then Zedd's like, calm down. Basically, the reason why he's not worried is basically because even if, as he states here, even if, he's like, so what if the Power Rangers manage to get to their command center? We have an army of monsters waiting outside, and they won't stand a chance against them. And so he's basically, tactically speaking, it makes sense. Sure, even if the Rangers, I'm just speaking hypothetically in this case. Anyway, the Rangers manage to get to the command center, and then that's when they see Alpha, and then Alpha's wondering, they're asking Alpha what happened, and where's Zordon, and then Alpha, who is still under Zedd's evil programming at this point, says that he doesn't know any Zordon, and they're supposed to be trapped in the abandoned theater, and then Stake one step goes there and he'll blow this place to smithereens, and then Billy takes the reprogramming disc that Finster put into Alpha in the first part out of him, which sets his programming back to its original state. And then basically what happens is Alpha's wondering about what's happening, and then he realizes Zordon is gone, and then basically he helps get Zordon back, and then basically after he's brought back, Alpha is asking Zordon what happened to him, and then basically for the moment it doesn't matter because there are monsters outside the command center, which kind of makes sense. The monsters being at the command center takes precedent over everything else that had happened beforehand in this case. And basically what happens is, after Zordon is brought back, Zordon asks the Rangers that Alpha's evil reprogramming and them being trapped in the theater must have had something to do with the latest scheme. What exactly happened while they were trapped in the theater and while he was locked down? And then one of the Rangers explains to him that basically Rita and Zedd got married for one. And then basically what happens is, and then Zordon says that that's unfortunate because together they'll be an unstoppable force to deal with, which makes sense because Zedd was already difficult on his own. But with Rita backing him up, he's going to be even more difficult to handle. Anyway, what basically happens is after that, they notice about the monsters being cornering them in the command center, and that's when Zedd makes the monsters grow with his potion, and then the Rangers decide to go deal with the monsters. And then basically what happens is, before they go to deal with them, well, actually, Zedd doesn't make them grow just yet, because they go to fight the monsters out there, but before they go to fight them, Zordon is telling them that, he's telling the Rangers that their powers should work now that they're out of the theater, which was a vortex, which was keeping their powers inactive, but nevertheless, they are tremendously outnumbered by the monsters, and he tells them may the power protect them. And then basically, the Rangers go to deal with the monsters, and then basically that's when Zedd makes them grow. And after that, basically what happens is the Rangers fight the monsters in the megazord, and they manage to beat them, and then after they win, Zedd and Rita gets upset with Zedd, and she says, all this stupid, idiotic things, he let the Rangers slip to the fingers, and then he's telling Rita this how she's his wife and he demands some respect. But then Rita says that, oh yeah, well you can forget about it, because when they get home, he'll answer to her, and basically he says he will not, she will, yes he will, and then after that, basically what happens is the Rangers are getting back to where they were teleported by Alpha to the theater beforehand, the first time in the first part, and then basically after that, Alpha realizes that he still, well, actually, one of the people there that's part of the field trip, basically is saying that it's time for them to get ready to head back home, and then that's when Alpha realizes that he's still got another mess to clean up, because in one of the previous parts, he had transported Bulk and Skull to the outback part of Australia where all the kangaroos and stuff were. So he teleports them back as well, and then after that, basically, he's like, I still can't believe I trapped, and then after he brings them back, he basically mentions that he still can't believe that he trapped the Power Rangers in that theater and de-energized Zordon at the same time. But, Zordon is basically telling Alpha that it wasn't he who actually did it, which is technically true. It was because of Finster's evil reprogramming on him. So technically, it wasn't really his fault. It was the reprogramming that was at fault for why he did that. So, because basically what Zordon says is he didn't care for the evil Alpha, and then Alpha basically makes a little bit of a muttery stuff where he says, I'm glad, where he's mentioning about who he was before he was, and then so on and so forth, and mentions that the last time, and then he says, yeah, and that's basically where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, I will probably post it sometime tomorrow. So when I post this video tomorrow, guys, just please give it the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys probably, the day, and I'll see you guys next time for the next video. So until then, like I always tell you with this series, may the power protect you always.